빛나고 있었는 비밀의
Canto 2 was harder than I thought.
So, I am on a journey to beat Limbus with one sinner in battle, and today we are challenging Canto 2. To beat it, I need to somehow defeat 3 clans: the Think Tank Gang, the Casino Guards, and the Dreadful Mexicans. This journey was so hard that I had to overcome my anger issues and become a better person, so let me show you how this all started. So, in Canto 2, we start with the Think Tank Gang. They have pretty low levels, so this should be easy, right? Let me try this again. The Think Tank have pretty low levels, so this should be easy.
잠시 망설인
Oh,
것뿐이었어.
one scene, please give me patience. So, our dog shot was destroying Canto 1 is struggling here because the enemies have blunt attacks. And she takes double damage from them. And if she can't win these fights, well, forget about beating Canto 2. We won't even reach the casino. But fortunately for me, I have another sinner that might win this fight. And if he proves himself worthy, I maybe put him at tier B. Yes, I started making tier list of which sinner is the best in this challenge. It is a sinner that is finally taking the spotlight in this account, and that is Priest Gregor. As you know, Priest Gregor has one of the best healing kits in this game. Is what I would have said if I knew how to use him. I am not making justice to my in-game hours, am I? So for once, I actually had to read his skills to be able to beat these stages. And I learned that he can bleed every time he uses a skill, and that's an issue. But if I use his shield, I can accumulate something called Alien Heart. I don't really know what it does. But the important thing is, with 5 of it, it reduces the self-bleed in half, which is a great thing. And with that, I managed to beat a few stages until I learned that he was weak to Pierce and got destroyed here. Okay, so he's at least better than Sinclair, so I'm gonna put him at high C. Yeah, we need to get stronger. So I could overlevel them straight to 30 and beat those guys with ease, but that feels like I'm giving up on the challenge, so I'm not gonna do that. Well, it does feel a bit embarrassing having to do that in Canto 2 at least, so yeah. Let's just not do that. Which means the only way to get stronger is to uptie them. Honestly, it baffles me how I managed to get here with only uptie 1, but here we are. As you can see, I haven't uptied them before, so I am pretty poor in threads, and I will only unlock Mirror Dungeon or Thread Deluxe Excavation to get those resources in Canto 3, so that's another reason why we need to beat this Canto. I had never felt so poor in this account as I am right now. I had to use every last bit of resource just to get this uptie. But with those new skills tree, I managed to finally have a skill that heals, which clutched so hard during these last fights that don't manage to survive with a tiny bit of HP, and we managed to beat the whole Think Tank gang. And that was the least dangerous enemies of this Canto, by the way. It gets way worse in the casino. Especially because... Yeah, that's -4 coin power down. Which wouldn't be an issue if you had a full team, but because we have only one sinner, all of the debuffs stacked on her. And that makes her, even a brand new skill tree, struggle to win clashes. How do I even win this? Okay, so I'm gonna put Dawn in the bench because she's weak to blunt, and they have blunt attacks. Which means it's Gregor's time to shine! Oh god, that's -12 coin power down. But thankfully, he survived due to the massive shields, and his attacks heals him when he's low HP. That will create some clutch moments later, by the way. And after winning the battle, I get a few event points that I can turn into thread to uptie him. I am so poor. But fortunately, I had some ego shards and I managed to get his appetite tree. And now we have unlocked his skill tree that heals a lot. which I didn't even get a chance to use because he died before that. And you probably saw it, but this coin power down are so annoying because they are even making his skill tree become hopeless in clashes. Like, I really like doing these challenge runs because it shows a lot of these little mechanics that we forget about when we are doing our first run through the game. But they are so annoying to deal with. Well, I still need to go past it, so I tried again and again. But it was difficult to figure out what I need to do, especially because he was dying every time he got staggered. I needed him to survive long enough to use his skill tree, which means I can't quit battles. Instead I have to force myself to watch him getting destroyed, expecting him to survive with a little bit of HP, only for him to die and waste my time. So after 5 failed attempts, I finally managed to get a run where the stars were aligned. Not only I managed to survive the first waves, I also got a bunch of skill tree, which would heal him to full HP, and as soon as I had the chance to win this battle, he instead used his skill tree and blew up. Don't ask me what happened there, I have no idea. But the good thing is that it gave me a clue on how to win these battles. Either I need to get staggered on turn 1 and survive, or have a skill tree that hit all heads and stagger the enemy. And thankfully, that's what happened next. Not only is his skill tree staggered the enemy, but he also recovered all of Gregor's HP, allowing me to keep doing damage without getting staggered. It really makes you appreciate uptime in your scenery, because without it, I don't think I would be able to survive long enough, especially to have so many skills. And we won this fight! So, what do you think? I think after that last battle, he deserves at least... He deserves at least a tier. And I am so happy because it was actually possible to win. Because I tried so many times. I was losing my patience. Do you also feel a little bit like this? Like, even though I make this challenge right, there is nothing that angers me more than having to deal with RNG. And I'm doing this challenge run to see if I can get used to it. But still, having to restart every time and pray that the RNG bless you in that fight, only to get staggered and lose turn was so annoying. And hopefully, it won't happen again, right? Right? The Great Mariachi Warfare. The Great Mariachi Warfare is a series of 3 battle nodes where the mariachi appears in battle and they are the last obstacle blocking me from finishing Canto 2. We are so close, but at the same time so far. What's different about them, you ask? Well, not only do they have Pierce skills that destroy Gregor, but they also have Gloom skills that demolishes Don Quixote. And against all odds, I need to win these 3 battles with those 2, because unfortunately I didn't have any other scene that would be useful in battle. This section alone has more deaths and failure than both previous one combined, so let's get into it. We start at 2-10 against 2 mariachis and 2 guards. At first I tried with Gregor because he endures blunt attacks, but to my surprise, he gets destroyed in the first 2 minutes. They roll so many heads at 0 SP. What is this? So after a few tries with Gregor, I noticed that it was impossible to win in these conditions, so I had to try with Don Quixote, which was also a failure. So I kept trying and trying until I had a run with Gregor that changed everything. In this run, not only I managed to get him staggered turn 1, but the enemies also used defense skill multiple times. And that means he had enough HP to survive the stagger and managed to recover HP in the next turn. So after dealing with a lot of hopeless clashes, I managed to reach the second wave and win the battle! By this point, you already understand why this section was so hard. Not only I had to play well, but also hope the enemies would use defense skills instead of attacking. And then we move to 2-11. And instead of having guards here, it's all mariachis. Which honestly, the area energy was at my favor and I managed to have great progress in this run. But you could already see that I was getting so angry every time I lost a clash, because if he died in battle, that means that I would have to lose a few more minutes waiting to start a new battle, only to deal with all the area energy all over again. And he almost died, reach at 1 HP 1 point. But thankfully, he managed to heal and we won the fight. See how difficult it is to win a single battle? I had to be so lucky that he didn't die at that attack. And then 2-12. This fight alone took me a whole hour to beat. That's the same time it takes for me to beat a whole middle dungeon rod. And and even more. And the only difference between 2-12 and 2-11 is the addition of a single mariachi in battle. A single mariachi made me spend a whole hour in this fight. And mind you, I had to stay during the whole fight every single time, watching the sinners getting stabbed over and over and over again, just hoping that they might somehow survive with 1 HP if I stayed for long enough. So I watched and watched and died and died and died, and after 20 attempts I was losing my mind. I even got desperate and tried to use multiple Honglo IDs that only wasted my resources. And now I was stuck. By this point I tried so much that by this point I didn't really care anymore of watching the whole battle. As soon as I seen I got staggered, I was quitting the battle. Everything I tried ended up in failure, and then I started to question why I was getting so stressed. Did all the effort and hours that I put into this challenge went to waste because I couldn't beat this stage? Was I not good enough, even after all the practice? Then I stepped away from the game to think about these questions until I kinda found an answer. You see, I always hated how solo runs are played, because it feels like everything that decides if you win a battle or not, it's outside of your control. And that's exactly what was happening in this stage. I needed the enemies to roll multiple defense skills if I wanted to even have a chance of beating this fight. There was really nothing I could do but to keep on trying, and that was stressing me out so much that I gave up playing on that day. And after thinking for a while, I remember a lesson from Stoicism that tells you that you should not try to control things that you can't control. And that was the opposite of what I was doing. So when I woke up on the next day, I tried doing, well, exactly that. And that's how I won Canto 2. I never expected that I would win like this. So yeah, that is the reason I'm telling you this story, because if you try your hardest to not attach your self-worth to the outcome of your goals, you have a better chance at succeeding, simply because you're not gonna feel down after each setback and failures. Honestly, I have heard this multiple times in the past, but I was never the type of person who managed to put these things into practice. So, seeing this lesson being applied here was a big surprise to me, and I can already see the results. I am not getting depressed every time I make a mistake anymore, and honestly, my life has become a little bit easier because of that. So The next time something doesn't go your way, well, try to not let it get out of your head and keep trying. You're gonna succeed. And that's what I'll leave you with you today. So I'll see you in Canto 3!